Okay, this is for Algebra 2. This is quadratic functions. The graph of a quadratic function is called a parabola. To use your calculator, you go to y equal on the calculator, tap the function, and press graph. You can see what it looks like that way. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. You look at your table and find where x is 0. The y value of that is your y-intercept. You might want to add that to your notes. The axis of symmetry is the line that cuts the graph in half. It's always going to be in the form x equal the number. It's a line, okay, so it's got to be an equation, x equal, because it's a vertical line. If you will find your vertex first, it's going to be x is equal to whatever the x value of the vertex. So you want to find your vertex first. We're fixing to talk about that. The vertex is the point where the parabola changes directions. It's written as a point, x comma y, be numbers there. If your equation is in y equal, you'll go to second calc and either max or min. You'll get before it crosses, or before the vertex, press enter. After the vertex, press enter, enter, and you'll get it. So what's going to happen is that if you have a graph like this, it's at the bottom, so that's your vertex, and it's considered a minimum, because it's a low point on that graph. So you would do second calc min. You would get your cursor before the vertex, press enter, and then get your cursor after the vertex, enter, enter. If you had a graph that opened the other way, your vertex is at the top, and so it is a maximum. So on this one you would go second calc max, get before the vertex, press enter, get after the vertex, and press enter, enter. And then down here it's going to tell you a value for x and a value for y. You just put those as a point, and there you have it. So that's what you're going to use to figure out what your axis of symmetry is. If the vertex is at the bottom of the graph, it's a minimum. Like I told you before, if it's down at the bottom, it's a min. If it's up high, it's a maximum. The domain of the graph is all of the x values that are possible. The range is all the y values that are possible. You're going to use symbols, your inequality symbols, to describe the domain and range. Something less than, possibly less than or equal to x, less than, possibly less than or equal to a number. That would be for your domain. You would have the same thing, except it would be a y for your range. Now, if they give you an equation, the domain is going to be all real numbers. Okay? If it is an equation, always domain, all real numbers. If it is an equation, you're going to have y is greater than or equal to something, or y is less than or equal to something, rather than the whole thing. This right here, where you have the blanks on either side, is when they give you a picture and it stops. They've got points. Like that. There's a definite starting and stopping point to the graph. That's when you do the whole thing. So they've given us a graph. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, 0, 2. Find your vertex before you worry about the axis of symmetry. The vertex is that low point, so it's -3, -6. Now that I know the vertex, the axis of symmetry is always x is equal to, and it's always the x value of the vertex, -3. That vertex was at the bottom, so it's a minimum. The value of that max or minimum for this one is -6. It's the y number from the vertex. Okay, that's how you find the value of the max or min. Domain on this one, the furthest to the left that it goes is -7, less than or equal to, because it's a solid dot, x for domain, less than or equal to, because it ends at a solid dot, the biggest x we ever had was 0.75. Range, the lowest, the smallest y we ever had was -6, less than or equal to, because the line actually touches it, y because we're talking range, less than or equal to, because it's a solid dot at the top, 6.5, because that was the biggest y value we ever had. So, if they give you an equation, you're going to put it in your calculator at y equal. So you have x squared minus 8x plus 15. Start by just looking at your graph. Probably want to go zoom 6, just get a general idea. And your graph looks something like that. Okay? So it opens up, so I know that it has a minimum. The y-intercept, I'm going to go to my table, second graph. When x is 0, y is 15. So my y-intercept is 15. I'm going to find my vertex. So second calc, it's a low spot, minimum, so 3. Get my cursor before, press enter. Get my cursor after the vertex so that I can press enter, enter. No set spot, just before and after. So the vertex, and you're going to do a little rounding on the vertex, no big deal. It's going to be 4, negative 1. Now that you know the vertex, the axis of symmetry is always x equal whatever the x of the vertex was, 4. The minimum value is negative 1. It's what the y was at the vertex. Let's see what we're forgetting. Domain and range. Domain, I said when they give you an equation, is always all real numbers. My range, it's opening up, so that means its y is greater than or equal to the y of the vertex, negative 1. Okay, so go back to y equal, clear it out. We have negative x squared minus 4x plus 12. Just look at your graph, general idea. It's way up here, and I can't really see the top, but I know that it has a top, right? You could go to zoom 3, enter, and it'd zoom out a little bit. So I know that it has a max. If I go to my table, so second graph, when x is 0, y is 12. So the y-intercept is 12. The vertex would be a good thing to find next. So second calc, it's a high point, so it's a maximum, number 4. Get to the left, enter. Get to the right, enter, enter. Negative 2, 16. So that means that my axis of symmetry is x equal negative 2. The value of my max is 16. The domain is all real numbers. The range is y is less than or equal to, because the lines are going down, 16, because that's the y value of the vertex. Alright, that takes you to your assignment. If you have any questions, come see me during speed. This lesson was about quadratic functions.